In a world filled with constant noise, endless distractions and relentless pressure, emotional pain has become something most of us try to hide or run away from. We mask our wounds, hoping they'll disappear, yet the pain lingers beneath the surface, quietly shaping how we see ourselves and the world around us. But what if the secret to true freedom isn't escaping pain, but understanding it? What if your deepest struggles are actually gateways to healing and inner peace? Buddhism offers timeless spiritual laws that don't just help you cope, they guide you to break free completely. These 10 laws will show you how to stop resisting your pain, embrace the present moment, and transform your suffering into a source of incredible strength and wisdom. If you're ready to stop being a prisoner of your emotions and start living with calm, clarity, and power, then this video is for you. One of the most important spiritual truths in Buddhism is that the more you resist emotional pain, the stronger and more overwhelming it becomes. Imagine trying to hold back a powerful river with your hands. The more you push against it, the more forceful and uncontrollable the water feels. This is how pain works inside us. When we say to ourselves, "This shouldn't be happening," or "I don't want to feel this way," we are actually fighting against reality itself. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when we deny what is true in the present moment. When we resist what we are feeling, whether it's sadness, anger, fear, or grief, we create tension inside ourselves. This tension tightens the grip of pain and keeps us trapped in a cycle of struggle. But when you stop fighting and instead gently allow yourself to feel whatever is present, something powerful happens. The pain begins to lose its control over you. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or approving of the pain. It doesn't mean you are weak or that you have to like what you're going through. Instead, acceptance is a courageous act. It is the first step toward true healing. By saying to yourself, "This is what I feel right now, and that's okay," you open a space inside your heart where peace can grow. In this space, you stop feeding the resistance and start reclaiming your calm. Remember, accepting your pain is not about surrendering to it forever. It's about acknowledging it fully so you can begin to move through it. Acceptance frees you from the endless battle inside your mind and allows your spirit to breathe again. 2. The law of impermanence. This too shall pass. One of the most comforting and powerful teachings in Buddhism is the law of impermanence. It reminds us that everything in life, our thoughts, emotions, situations, and even our pain is temporary. Nothing stays the same forever. Just like the seasons change or clouds drift across the sky, the difficult feelings you are experiencing right now will also change and eventually pass. When you are caught in emotional pain, it often feels like it will last forever. You might believe that this sadness, anger, or fear will never end, and that belief makes the pain even heavier and more overwhelming. But the truth is, pain is like a wave in the ocean. It rises, reaches its peak, and then slowly recedes. By keeping this in mind, you can find hope and strength during your hardest moments. Buddhism teaches us to observe the flow of life with gentle awareness. When you start to see that every emotion and experience is part of a constant cycle of change, you stop clinging to the pain or trying to hold on to it. Instead, you begin to accept it as a natural part of life's rhythm. This understanding of impermanence helps you develop patience and kindness toward yourself. You learn to say, "Even though this hurts now, it won't last forever. Better days are coming." This mindset creates space for healing and allows you to move forward without being trapped by the fear that the pain will never end. So whenever you feel overwhelmed by your emotions, remind yourself this too shall pass. And with that reminder, you create room for peace to return. One of the most profound teachings in Buddhism is the understanding that the external world around us is often a mirror reflecting our inner state. This means that the way we experience people, situations, and challenges often shows us parts of ourselves that need attention, healing, or growth. When someone or something triggers a strong emotional reaction in you, whether it's anger, frustration, sadness, or jealousy, it's not just about the other person or event. It's a signal that there is something inside you that remains unhealed or unresolved. Maybe it's an old wound, a fear, or a limiting belief that you have not fully faced or accepted. Buddhism encourages us to turn inward instead of blaming the outside world for our suffering. Instead of asking, "Why is this person hurting me?" or "Why does this situation keep happening to me?" the practice is to ask, "What part of me is still wounded? What can I learn from this experience?" This law teaches that every difficult interaction or painful moment is an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. When you take responsibility for your inner world, you begin to see that your emotional pain is not caused solely by external circumstances, but also by the parts of yourself that have not been fully understood or healed. By shining a gentle light on these hidden wounds with compassion and curiosity, you create the possibility for deep transformation. You no longer see others as enemies or obstacles, but as teachers pointing you toward areas where you need to grow. This inward reflection does not mean blaming yourself or being harsh. It means being honest and kind to yourself. It means recognizing that the pain you feel outside is connected to what's happening inside. When you embrace this law, you begin to break free from the cycle of reacting to the world with hurt or anger. Instead, you start to respond with awareness, healing the root cause of your pain rather than just its symptoms. Remember, the world is a mirror, but it also offers you the chance to heal and grow. When you work on your inner wounds, your experience of life changes. People become kinder, situations become easier, and your emotional pain begins to fade. 4. The law of detachment. Freedom is letting go. In Buddhism, one of the greatest sources of emotional pain is attachment. Attachment means holding tightly to people, things, ideas, or outcomes, and believing that your happiness depends on them staying a certain way. When reality doesn't match what you want or expect, suffering follows. The law of detachment teaches us that true freedom comes not from clinging or controlling, but from letting go. This doesn't mean you stop caring or become indifferent. It means you learn to love and live without grasping or forcing things to be a certain way. You accept life's natural flow, even when it's unpredictable or painful. Think about how it feels to hold on to something too tightly, whether it's a grudge, a fear, or a dream that didn't come true. The harder you grip, the more exhausted and trapped you become. Detachment is the practice of loosening your hold so that you can breathe again and move freely. When you let go of attachment, you stop being a prisoner of your own desires and fears. You begin to accept that some things are beyond your control, other people's choices, past mistakes, or uncertain futures. By releasing the need to control these things, you create space for peace and healing. Buddhism encourages detachment as a way to protect your inner calm. When you're not attached to every outcome or expectation, you become resilient. You can enjoy what life offers without fear of losing it, and you can face challenges without being overwhelmed. This doesn't mean you avoid love, commitment, or joy. On the contrary, detachment allows you to experience them more fully because you're not afraid of losing them or being hurt. You love freely, you live openly, and you accept change as part of life. In practice, detachment means observing your thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. It means reminding yourself, I can care deeply without being controlled by this. It means trusting that life will unfold as it should, even if it's not what you planned. Letting go is not always easy, but it is necessary for true emotional freedom. When you practice detachment, you stop suffering from what you can't change and start living with a lighter, freer heart. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is the importance of living fully in the present moment. Emotional pain often becomes unbearable because we carry the weight of the past or worry endlessly about the future. But the truth is, pain lives in what has already happened or what might happen, while peace is found only in the present moment. Think about how many times your mind drifts back to painful memories, regrets, mistakes, hurts from years ago, or how often it races ahead, imagining worst-case scenarios and fears that haven't even happened yet. When you live caught in this cycle, your heart stays tangled in suffering and your mind becomes restless and anxious. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is the only place where life actually happens. When you bring your full attention to the here and now, whether it's your breath, your body, or the sounds around you, you create a space where emotional pain cannot hold you captive. This practice of presence is not about ignoring your feelings or pretending everything is fine. Instead, it's about gently observing what you feel without judgment and allowing yourself to be fully where you are. By anchoring yourself in the present, you stop feeding the stories your mind tells about the past or future. You stop reliving old wounds or fearing what's to come. Instead, you meet each moment with openness and calm. This law reminds you that peace is always available, right now, in this breath, in this moment. It is not somewhere far away or after all your problems are solved. It is here, waiting for you to notice. The more you practice presence, the less your pain controls you. You become grounded, clear, and calm, and in that calmness, healing naturally begins. So when emotional pain feels overwhelming, bring yourself back to the present. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice your breath moving in and out, and remind yourself, peace lives in now. Pain is often seen as the enemy, the thing to avoid, ignore, or eliminate as quickly as possible. Yet Buddhism offers a profoundly different way of understanding emotional pain. It teaches us that pain is not just an obstacle, but a powerful energy that can be transformed into strength, wisdom, and even compassion. This is the law of transmutation, the spiritual principle that invites you to turn your suffering into power. At first glance, this idea can seem difficult to accept. When you are engulfed in pain, whether it's grief, heartbreak, fear, or anger, it feels heavy, overwhelming, and completely negative. Your natural response might be to resist it, numb it with distractions, or try to escape from it altogether. But Buddhism encourages a radical approach to meet your pain directly and use it as a tool for growth. Think about the process of refining metal. Raw ore, when dug out of the earth, is rough and impure. But when it is exposed to intense heat, the fire burns away the impurities, leaving behind something stronger and more resilient. Your emotional pain works in a similar way. The fire of your suffering may feel unbearable at times, but it also has the potential to purify your heart and spirit, clearing away limiting beliefs, old wounds, and hidden fears. This transformation begins with awareness. Instead of pushing pain away or labeling it as bad, you learn to observe it closely. What exactly are you feeling? Where does it show up in your body? What thoughts and memories accompany it? Mindfulness meditation is a key practice here. By sitting quietly and paying close attention to your inner experience without judgment, you create a safe space for pain to be fully felt and understood. Feeling your pain deeply is not about indulging in suffering or wallowing. It's about acknowledging its presence honestly. When you allow pain to be seen and heard within yourself, it begins to lose its hold. You stop running from it and start learning from it. This learning is the essence of transmutation. Every painful experience carries a lesson about yourself, about your relationships, about life itself. Perhaps your pain reveals where you have been holding on too tightly, where your boundaries have been crossed, or where you have denied your own needs. Maybe it uncovers hidden fears of abandonment, failure, or rejection. These lessons, painful as they are, become the foundation for healing. As you reflect on these lessons, you can consciously choose how to respond to your pain. You begin to see that suffering does not have to define your identity. You are not broken or damaged. Instead, you are a warrior walking through fire and emerging stronger. The power of this transformation is not just personal, it can also expand outward. When you have turned your pain into wisdom and strength, you gain a unique ability to empathize with others who suffer. Your journey through darkness becomes a beacon of hope, showing others that healing is possible. This is why many spiritual teachers speak of compassion as arising from suffering. The more you have healed your own wounds, the more you can offer kindness, patience, and understanding to others. Your pain, once a burden, becomes a bridge connecting you to the deeper human experience. In practical terms, transmutation also means changing how you use your energy. Pain can drain you if you let it consume your thoughts and actions. But when you transform it, pain fuels motivation. It pushes you to create positive change, to protect yourself better, to pursue your dreams with more determination. For example, someone who has experienced deep loss might be inspired to help others facing similar struggles, becoming a counselor, teacher, or advocate. Another person might use their pain as a wake-up call to leave unhealthy situations or toxic relationships, choosing freedom and self-respect. The law of transmutation invites you to take ownership of your emotional energy. You are not helpless in the face of pain. You have the power to shape what it becomes. This is a form of spiritual alchemy, turning lead into gold within your own heart. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It requires patience, courage, and continuous practice. There will be moments when pain feels overwhelming again, when old wounds seem to reopen. But each time you return to awareness, compassion, and choice, you reinforce the power of transmutation. Remember, Buddhism teaches that all things are impermanent, including your pain. This impermanence means that pain can change, evolve, and ultimately be transformed. Your suffering today is the soil from which your inner strength will grow tomorrow. To support this process, cultivate daily mindfulness practices, whether meditation, journaling, or simply pausing to breathe deeply when emotions rise. Connect with supportive communities or teachers who understand the spiritual path of healing. And most importantly, be gentle with yourself. Transformation is a journey, not a race. In embracing the law of transmutation, you shift from being a victim of pain to becoming its master. You learn to welcome challenges as opportunities for growth. You discover that inside every painful moment lies the seed of power waiting to bloom. So when pain arises, don't turn away. Face it with courage and curiosity. Use it as a forge to shape a stronger, wiser, more compassionate you. Through this sacred alchemy, your emotional pain becomes not just something to survive, but a source of incredible personal power. Compassion healing others heals you. One of the most beautiful and transformative laws in Buddhism is the law of compassion. It teaches us that by reaching out to heal and support others, we simultaneously heal ourselves. Compassion is more than just feeling sorry for someone. It is an active, powerful force that connects hearts and breaks down the walls of isolation caused by emotional pain. When you are in the grip of emotional suffering, it can feel as if you are completely alone in your pain. You might think that no one understands, or that your suffering separates you from others. But Buddhism reminds us that suffering is a universal experience. Everyone at some point faces pain, loss, or hardship. This shared experience is the foundation of true compassion. It bridges the gap between self and other. Compassion begins with empathy, allowing yourself to feel what another person feels without judgment or distance. But it doesn't stop there. It moves into action, offering kindness, a listening ear, or a helping hand. This active compassion is a healing balm, not only for those who receive it, but also for those who give it. Why does helping others heal your own pain? Because compassion shifts your focus away from your own suffering and into a greater perspective. When you see the struggles of others, you realize that pain is not a personal curse, but a shared part of the human journey. This recognition softens the grip of your own pain, making it more manageable. Moreover, acts of compassion release powerful positive emotions within you. When you give kindness, your brain produces hormones like oxytocin and endorphins, sometimes called the love hormones, which increase feelings of happiness and reduce stress. This physiological response helps you feel calmer, more connected, and more resilient. Buddhism teaches that compassion is also a path to awakening. It dissolves the false sense of separation between self and other. When you care deeply for another's well-being, you realize the interconnectedness of all life. This realization can bring profound peace and purpose to your own life, even amid difficulties. Practicing compassion doesn't mean ignoring your own needs or sacrificing your well-being. It means balancing self-care with care for others. When you heal yourself, you become better equipped to help those around you, and when you help others, you reinforce your own healing. There are many ways to practice compassion in daily life. It can be as simple as offering a smile to a stranger, listening patiently to a friend in pain, volunteering your time, or forgiving someone who hurt you. Even small acts of kindness create ripples of healing that spread far beyond what you see. Sometimes, the greatest compassion is simply holding space for your own pain with kindness. Self-compassion, treating yourself with the same care and understanding you would offer a loved one, is essential for emotional healing. It helps break the cycle of self-criticism and shame that often accompanies suffering. Buddhism teaches that cultivating compassion is a practice, one that deepens over time. Meditation techniques, such as metta, loving-kindness meditation, help develop a heart that is open and compassionate towards self and others alike. Through regular practice, compassion becomes a natural response rather than a forced effort. When you fully embrace the law of compassion, you become a source of light in a world often shadowed by pain. Your healing journey no longer belongs only to you. It becomes a gift to everyone you touch. By healing others, you heal yourself, creating a cycle of love, understanding, and peace that uplifts both your heart and the hearts of those around you. So when you feel weighed down by emotional pain, remember, reaching out with compassion is one of the most powerful ways to lighten your burden. It connects you to the healing power of humanity and the spiritual truth that none of us are ever truly alone. 8. The law of awareness. You are not your emotions. In the journey to free yourself from emotional pain, one of the most vital spiritual laws to understand is the law of awareness. Buddhism teaches that you are not your emotions. This simple but profound truth holds the key to transforming how you relate to the difficult feelings that arise within you. Often when pain, anger, sadness, or fear wash over us, we identify ourselves with these emotions. We say, "I am angry," or "I am sad," as if these feelings define who we are. But emotions are temporary experiences that come and go. They are waves on the ocean of your mind, not the ocean itself. You are the one who witnesses those waves, the vastness of awareness beneath them. Understanding this difference between you and your emotions creates a powerful sense of freedom. Instead of being swept away by every feeling, you learn to become the observer, a calm and steady presence that notices emotions without being controlled by them. This awareness is not about suppressing or denying your feelings. It's about recognizing them as passing phenomena. When you watch an emotion without judgment or resistance, you begin to see its true nature. It has a beginning, a peak, and an end. No matter how intense, it will not last forever. Buddhist meditation practices cultivate this awareness by encouraging you to sit quietly and observe your thoughts and feelings as they arise and pass. Through this practice, you build the skill to witness your inner experience with gentle curiosity rather than being overwhelmed by it. Imagine standing on the shore and watching waves roll in and out. You don't try to stop the waves, nor do you dive headfirst into every one of them. Instead, you simply watch them come and go. This is what it means to be aware of your emotions. When you develop this awareness, you gain several important benefits. 1. Reduced reactivity. You no longer react impulsively to your emotions. Instead of acting out of anger or fear, you pause, observe, and choose a wiser response. 2. Greater emotional stability. Emotions lose their power to destabilize you because you no longer identify with them as your whole self. 3. Deeper self-understanding. By watching your emotions, you start to uncover the patterns, triggers, and stories behind them. This insight helps you heal underlying wounds. 4. Compassion for yourself. Awareness allows you to treat your emotions with kindness and patience rather than judgment or self-criticism. This law also helps you break free from the cycle of being controlled by your emotional pain. When you identify as your emotions, you feel trapped, like you are a victim to your feelings. But when you step into the role of observer, you reclaim your power. You realize that while you cannot always choose which emotions arise, you can choose how you respond. For example, if you notice anger rising within you, instead of exploding or suppressing it, you acknowledge there is anger. You watch it with curiosity. Where do you feel it in your body? What thoughts accompany it? How does it change over time? This simple act of awareness diminishes anger's intensity and prevents it from dictating your actions. The law of awareness also extends to positive emotions. Just as you watch pain and sadness, you can fully appreciate joy, love, and peace by being present and aware. This balanced awareness enriches your emotional life and helps you remain grounded regardless of external circumstances. Buddhism calls this witnessing presence, sati, mindful awareness. It is the foundation of emotional freedom. By practicing sati, you create a spacious inner world where emotions can arise and fall away naturally without causing suffering. Remember, emotions are like weather, sometimes stormy, sometimes calm, but you are the sky itself, vast and unchanging. When you learn to see yourself as the observer rather than the storm, you step into a place of peace that no emotion can disturb. So the next time emotional pain arises, pause and ask yourself, am I the emotion or am I the awareness watching it? This simple question can shift your perspective and open the door to lasting freedom. 9. The law of choice. You always have the power to respond differently. One of the most empowering teachings in Buddhism is the law of choice, which reminds us that no matter how intense our emotional pain may be, we always have the power to choose how we respond. This law is a beacon of hope for anyone feeling trapped or overwhelmed by their feelings because it asserts that you are never powerless. Your response is always within your control. Life will inevitably present challenges, disappointments, and painful emotions. Sometimes these feelings come crashing down on us unexpectedly: anger, fear, sadness, or anxiety. At these moments, it's natural to want to react immediately, often in ways that might hurt ourselves or others. But Buddhism teaches that between stimulus and response, there is a space, a moment of choice. How we use that moment determines the quality of our experience and the direction of our lives. Understanding and embracing this law begins with awareness. When you recognize that emotions and situations do not force your actions, you reclaim your personal power. Instead of reacting on autopilot, you can pause, breathe, and consider your options. This pause is a spiritual practice and a form of mindfulness. It allows you to step outside the immediate emotional reaction and connect with a deeper part of yourself, the part that is calm, wise, and free from impulsive urges. For example, when someone says something hurtful, your first instinct might be to respond with anger or withdrawal, but the law of choice encourages you to ask yourself, how do I want to respond? What serves my peace and well-being? You might choose to respond with kindness, set a healthy boundary, or simply remain silent instead of escalating conflict. This law also applies to how you treat yourself internally when negative self-talk arises. Thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or "I will never be happy." You have the choice to accept these thoughts or to challenge them with compassion and truth. Choosing kindness toward yourself is an act of radical self-love and an essential step toward healing emotional pain. Buddhism teaches that this power of choice is connected to free will, the ability to direct your attention and intentions. While you may not control external events, you always have control over your internal responses. This is where true freedom lies. The more you practice making conscious choices, the stronger and more resilient you become. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start becoming the creator of your own life. Each small choice to respond with awareness builds momentum, gradually transforming your emotional patterns. Choosing differently doesn't mean suppressing or denying your emotions. It means honoring them without letting them dictate your actions. It's about responding rather than reacting. This law is especially important when dealing with painful emotions because it reminds you that emotional pain does not have to control your behavior or your future. You can acknowledge the pain and still choose peace, healing, and growth. In practical terms, developing this power of choice involves several steps. Pause and breathe. When you feel triggered, take a deep breath and create a moment of stillness. Recognize your feelings. Identify the emotion you are experiencing without judgment. Reflect. Ask yourself what your options are. What response will serve your highest good? Choose wisely, act from a place of awareness and kindness rather than impulsivity over time. This practice rewires your brain and your habits. Making mindful responses. Your default mode, the law of choice, also reminds you to take back responsibility for your own happiness. It shows you that no outside situation, person, or emotion has complete control over you. Only you can choose how to respond to life's challenges. Remember, freedom isn't about controlling everything around you. It's about managing your inner world. Each moment brings a new chance to choose peace instead of chaos, love instead of fear, and healing instead of pain. So when emotional pain feels overwhelming, remember this law. You are never without power. You always have the choice to respond in a new way, and that choice is the key to your freedom. 10. The law of surrender. Stop controlling. Start trusting. One of the deepest and most powerful spiritual lessons in Buddhism is the law of surrender. This teaching says that much of our emotional suffering comes from trying to control what we cannot. We feel pain because we hold on too tightly to outcomes, people, or situations, trying to make life match our expectations. But real freedom and peace come only when we let go of this urge to control and begin to trust life's natural flow. Surrender doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It's an active decision to stop resisting and accept what life brings. even when it feels hard or unclear. It's a brave act of saying, I may not control everything, but I trust that I can handle whatever comes with strength and grace. Think of holding water in your hand. The more tightly you squeeze, the more it slips away. In the same way, when we hold on too tightly, trying to force life to go our way, we create stress, frustration, and suffering. The law of surrender invites you to open your hand, loosen your grip, and let life's natural rhythm move through you. In Buddhism, this kind of surrender is closely tied to mindfulness and acceptance. It starts with recognizing what is, instead of wishing things were different. This small act of acceptance eases mental tension and creates space for peace to enter. Surrender also means placing trust in something greater than yourself, whether you call it the universe, life's flow, or the natural order of existence. It's the belief that even in the middle of pain or chaos, a deeper wisdom is at work. This trust doesn't ignore pain or deny reality. It accepts them, knowing that everything changes and that challenges help you grow. When you surrender, you stop struggling against what you can't control. You stop pushing away hard emotions, difficult situations, or unwanted outcomes. Instead, you face them with openness and interest, letting them guide and shape you. This law helps break the pattern of stress and worry that comes from trying to control everything. It reminds you that control is often just an illusion, and that real peace comes from letting go of that illusion. Practicing surrender takes courage. Letting go isn't always easy, especially when you fear loss, failure, or the unknown. But Buddhism teaches that clinging too tightly brings more pain than learning to release. Surrender doesn't mean you stop taking action or making choices. It means you take action without being attached to the outcome. You give your best in the present moment, then let go of the need to control what happens next. This shift from control to trust brings a deep sense of freedom. You stop feeling overwhelmed by fear and pressure. Instead, you move forward with calm and quiet confidence. Surrender also opens your heart. When you stop trying to control everything, you make space for acceptance, kindness, and love, for yourself and for others. This openness allows healing to happen on a deeper level in your everyday life. Living the law of surrender can mean letting go of grudges and resentment, knowing they only weigh you down. It means accepting hard emotions as part of your human experience instead of fighting them. It's trusting that setbacks are only temporary and part of your personal growth. It's practicing mindfulness to stay in the present and not get lost in fears about the future. And it's taking thoughtful action without being stuck on how things must turn out. Remember, surrender isn't the same as giving up or feeling defeated. It's a powerful kind of strength, the strength to face life honestly without resistance and with trust in how your path unfolds. When you truly live by the law of surrender, emotional pain loses much of its grip. You find peace, not because life is perfect, but because you've learned to move with it, not against it. This kind of spiritual surrender is a gateway to deep freedom. It frees you from the tiring struggle of trying to control what you cannot, and invites you to live with more trust, acceptance, and inner peace. So when emotional pain or life's uncertainties feel overwhelming, remember this law. Stop controlling, start trusting, and notice how your heart begins to feel lighter and your spirit starts to rise. These 10 spiritual laws from Buddhism are more than just teachings. They are a practical and compassionate guide to help free yourself from emotional pain. When you learn to accept what is, understand that everything is temporary, and realize that you are not your emotions, a new kind of freedom starts to grow within you. By practicing detachment, mindfulness, and surrender, you stop resisting life's natural rhythm and begin to live with peace and grace. Through compassion and conscious choices, you can turn your pain into strength, not only healing yourself, but also becoming a light for others. Remember, emotional pain isn't a trap. It's a doorway, a sacred call to awaken your deepest strength and wisdom. You have the power to step through that door. Bring these laws into your daily life. Practice them gently and with patience. Over time, you'll feel the weight of suffering begin to lift, and a quiet peace will take its place, a peace that no outside event can take away. You are not walking this path alone. Every step you take toward healing is a step toward true freedom. Thank you for watching. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more spiritual guidance on your journey toward peace and happiness.